Well, actually, there's three elements I would say. There's willpower, discipline, and love. And a lot of people want to create discipline in their life, but they start and then they struggle and they stop. And I feel like the driving factor behind discipline is love. When you love something and you're passionate about it, then you want to discipline your life more so that you can have more of that love. So I have a daughter, for example.
Okay.
She's 10 and a half months old, and I love her very much. And I want to spend a lot of time with her. And in order to spend more time with her, I need to discipline my life, right? So I use my willpower to create that discipline, right? That strict rigidness of my day that allows me to have more time to spend with my daughter. But it's the love that drives the act of being disciplined. And I use my willpower to discipline myself by saying no to things, no to opportunities, no to people, and structuring my life and being clear on what my priorities are. So I say discipline is the byproduct, whereas willpower is what's needed to create that structure. But the base of it is love. At the source of it's love. If you don't have something you're passionate about, it's something that you love passionately, you're not driven to discipline your life. You may start it, but then you can't sustain it.
And that's the thing about motivation. It's not sustainable.
Exactly. And a lot of people come up to me and ask, are you a motivational speaker? And I say, absolutely not. I actually do not believe in motivation, and I do not believe in inspiration, because I feel it's an injection of energy into someone and emotion to get them high for a moment. And then once that goes away, you default back to who you are. And when I was growing up, Jim, as a young kid, I'd go listen to monks speak, and because I was so fascinated with the monastic life. Every time a monk came to town, I asked my parents to go take me to see the monk speak. A lot of them would tell inspirational things, motivational things. I'd listen to them, go home, tell myself, I'm going to practice everything they told me to do. And I did for about a week or 2 weeks.
Right.
Then all the inspiration went away, because you see the guy sitting on stage with the robe and the beard and the beats, and you go like, I want to be him. That's Kwai Chang Caine, just the Kung Fu master, I want to be him. And then the inspiration goes and you default back to who you are, because there was never a deeper passion, right? And I realized that motivation and inspiration doesn't really work. What you want to figure out is, what is your purpose in life and what's your passion in life, right? And once you figure out that passion, that love, because then you'll do whatever it takes to discipline your life, and you'll cultivate your will and use your will then to create that structure. And that structure is that discipline.
It's interesting because I think a large part of people who are watching this right now, they believe that they haven't found their purpose, or they think that there's just one purpose to their life.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people don't know their purpose because they've never spent any time trying to find their purpose. And there's no structured approach to it. Even when you're growing up, nobody tells you in school that you need a purpose in life. But if you look at your daily life, your whole life is driven by purpose. People get in a car. Why? Because there's a purpose: to drive to go to dinner, drive to go to work, right? You take a shower, there's a purpose. Everything you do throughout the day, all the mundane things is purpose driven. So why shouldn't life have a purpose? And most people don't know their purpose because they never spend time with themselves. And then Jim, people say to me, oh, I spend time with myself. Every evening I walk my dog for half an hour. That's my alone time. I'm like, no, that's walking your dog. And you know me, I love defining things. People say, oh, I go for a jog in the park. That's my alone time. I go, no, that's jogging in the park. You can't say that's your alone time. When I say you want to find your purpose, you need to sit down, no music, no podcasts, no journals, eyes closed, going internally and having a dialogue with yourself. The way I can get to know you is to spend time with you, right? We met every week, every Friday for lunch for 2 hours. After a year, we know each other really well.
Right.
I know what makes you happy, what makes you sad, what drives you, what doesn't drive you. Same way, how would you discover your purpose? By spending structured time with yourself in introspection. And if you don't know what you want, then you'll never be driven. And that's why if you look at most people, they go from one thing to another. They're driven by the trends of society. Now this is popular, so I'll do it for a while. Maybe it's yoga, then it's soul cycling, and then it's this and it's that. And people are just going from one thing to another. But if you look at the most successful people in the world, they just do one thing.
Right.
They play tennis or they play football.
And if you could find your purpose and you could find the love in what you do, you could add 5 days a week, to your life, because a lot of people aren't doing what they love those 5 days a week, and they're looking forward to two days out of the week. Now, when we're talking about how willpower, you have those muscles on your mind.
Yeah. The way to develop willpower is to finish what you begin. It's really easy to start something, But to finish something takes tremendous amount of will, right? At the start, everybody's inspired, they're full of enthusiasm and energy.
Because they're motivated.
They're motivated, right?
Right.
So something new, it's inspiring. And then halfway through the project, everybody looks at each other and go, whose idea was this?
Right.
And then people just abandon it and go start something new. When you finish what you begin, you actually, it requires tremendous amount of will. So the way I develop my bicep is I use my bicep to lift weight to develop more bicep, right? I use my bicep to develop bicep. The way you develop willpower is you use your mental muscle to develop more muscle. So every time you finish what you begin, you're actually developing willpower. So for me, the way I develop willpower is I look at my average day and I go, what are the opportunities in my day that I can use to develop willpower? One simple thing that I talk about quite often is every day I sleep, right? It's a reoccurring event. I never go a day without sleeping, right?
Me too.
Right? So every day I sleep. So before I sleep, I floss, I brush my teeth, throw on my pajamas, I go to sleep. How do I finish the process of sleep? I make the bed in the morning. So every day I wake up in the morning, I make the bed. There's not a single day that goes by that I haven't made the bed in the last 25 years.
Right.
So every day I wake up, I finish. So when I make the bed, I finish what I begin, and I'm developing willpower. So now most people look at mundane things throughout the day, like making the bed, as kind of like, oh, that's a mundane task. Why should I waste time or energy? Whereas in the monastery, we were trained that all the simple tasks throughout the day, from making the bed to putting away your cups or washing your breakfast dish in the morning, and you come into the house and you take your shoes off, instead of kicking it to the side, you can put them neatly. It takes an extra 5 seconds, but you're finishing the process of coming home, right? And all those things are little acts to develop willpower. And imagine if you're taking a pebble and putting it in a jar every time, 2 weeks later, the jar will be filled with pebbles. So I looked at the tasks throughout the day, finishing those tasks as opportunities to develop willpower. And after a month, I've developed tremendous amount of willpower. Now I can use that willpower and direct it with align it with my passion to create discipline in my life, so that I can enjoy what I love more.